Hello there, hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. In this video, we will be going over positive and negative type automated testing concepts and their definitions. So let's get started. For our first definition, we are going to be taking a look at what positive testing is. So what is positive testing? Well, positive testing is a testing method that ensures the software application is working as intended. What I mean by this is, when creating a positive test, the tests themselves should have valid sets of input the application will accept, and the output of the test should not return any errors or error messages. For example, let's say you have a first name field in an HTML form. In the first name field, you have a validation to check and see if the entered values are letter characters only. A positive test in this case would be to enter what the first name field would consider a valid entry, such as John or Sally. And once you enter it, it's able to accept the input as expected. Another example would be doing a post call with a valid JSON body. Let's say that you have an endpoint that accepts a post call with an author, book, and page count body properties. In these body properties, you have separate validation per property, such as only accepting integers for page count, or only alpha characters for author property. A positive test in this case would be having all three of the properties be in their correct form to see if the execution of the post call to that endpoint behaves as is intended. In our case, that would be getting a 200 status response back with a message saying the book was added. Now that we have defined what positive testing is, for our second definition, we are going to be taking a look at what negative testing is. So, what is negative testing? Well, negative testing is a testing method that ensures the software application's validations are working as intended. What I mean by this is, when creating a negative test, it should have invalid sets of input to create an output that's expected with an invalid case. For example, let's take the same first name field we had previously. In the first name field, you have a validation to check and see if the entered values are letter characters only. A negative test in this case would be to enter what the first name field would consider an invalid entry, such as inputting integers, and once you enter it, it's able to deny the input displaying a message or an error such as first name must only contain letters. Another example would be doing a post call with an invalid body. Let's say we have the same endpoint from our previous example that accepts a post call with an author, book, and page count as body properties. In these body properties, you have separate validation per property, such as only accepting integers for page count, or only alpha characters for author property. A negative test in this case would be having one of the three properties be in an incorrect form to see if the execution of the post call to that endpoint rejects as is intended. In our example's case, that would be getting a 400 status response back with a message saying invalid book format. Now that we have a good understanding of what a positive and negative testing is, let's talk about the next step, finding a balance between these tests. What I mean by finding a balance between these tests is having a good ratio of positive versus negative tests. Ideally, your positive and negative testing should consist mostly of negative tests. Since positive testing is limited by the boundaries of what's being accepted, the negative testing is what's being passed through those boundaries. It's crucial to understand the importance of how negative testing can lead to less error-prone releases in an automatic manner. This is why having a good ratio of positive to negative tests is important, as it will not only assist with finding bugs, but it will also find validation issues that need to be corrected after a feature has been added. However, this doesn't mean you should go overboard with creating tests. You should be able to determine having X amount of tests is the right amount, and anything above the X amount is overkill. As a final note, I wanted to suggest getting creative with positive and negative testing. Try different combinations of positive testing and negative testing to see if the application will behave the way it's supposed to behave. To wrap up our video, let's summarize what we have learned regarding positive and negative testing. 1. Positive tests are tests that consist of valid input data. They are there to make sure the application can accept the data it's supposed to accept. 2. Negative tests are tests that consist of invalid input data. The negative tests are there to make sure the application's validations work as intended. 3. Finding a balance is important between positive and negative testing. Usually there should be more negative tests rather than positive tests. 4. Get creative with combining positive and negative tests to make sure you have covered possible use cases or edge cases. Thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions on database concepts, DevOps, or anything computer science related, feel free to post them down below. If you like this video and would like to see more, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. See you next time.